Hi everyone, so I'm back again. I just thought I'd do a quick video about me and my journey with artificial nutrition. So I'm Sarah, I'm 29 years old, I live in the UK and I have been artificially fed for about 4.5 years, maybe nearly 5. So I started my journey with it on 40 sips, 40 juice, those kinds of things. I tried, 5 or 6 different ones. I just never got on with them. They never worked for me, and so I was started with NG feeding initially. So I tried that for a few months, and again, it just wasn't suiting me. During the time we started the NG feeding, I found out I have gastroparesis, and that was what was causing my gastro problems. I'll come on to that a little bit later. So because of the gastroparesis diagnosis, it was decided that my tube needed to be changed from an NG, so going through my nose into my stomach, into an NJ, so nasojejunal tube. So it goes through your nose, down into your stomach, out of your stomach, through the pylorus, which is the opening between your stomach and intestines, and then snakes through to the second part of your small intestine called the jejunum. I had that for about a year. I had the nasal tube, just getting strong enough to have the surgical tube done. So I had my surgical tube done, I think 10 days short of a year with nasal tubes. So I had a PEG-J done, which is a percutaneous endoscopic gastrostomy jejunostomy. So they put a camera down your throat and into your stomach. They then mark where they're going to put the tube, using the camera to guide them from the inside, and then they put the tube in. They make an incision and put the tube in. So what that meant is I had a tube going into my stomach through the abdominal wall, and then inside that tube was another tube, and that went again out of my stomach through the pylorus into the jejunum. And I had that for quite a bit over a year, and it was working great for me. I loved it. It meant that I could feed into my jejunum, but I could also vent and drain stomach content through the gastrostomy part. In June last year, I started to have a lot of problems with my PEG-J. The jejunal extension kept recoiling back into my stomach. So it was decided to get a separate jejunostomy put in. Now, because of the different ways of doing it, my local hospital, couldn't do the way that they wanted to do it, so I had to be referred to St Mark's. So while I was waiting for the bed at St Mark's, I was put on TPN, which is total parenteral nutrition, which is IV nutrition through a big vein in your heart. So I had a PICC line, which is a line that goes in through the upper arm and it's threaded up through into the heart. And I had that for, I think, 5 months in total, maybe 6 months. So on the 6th of December last year, I had my jejunostomy placed, which is a tube that goes directly through the abdominal wall into the jejunum. Mine goes quite far into the jejunum just because I have reverse motility, so my intestines reflux stuff back into my stomach, which is delightful. So yes, in the 6th of December I had my jejunostomy placed. All of this has come about from Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I was only diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos in September, but I've had POTS and gastroparesis for 5-6 years. So it's a connective tissue disorder, it's genetic, and it causes issues with collagen in the body. So that means for most people you have hypermobile joints, you're quite bendy, your skin will be quite stretchy and fragile. My veins are horrendous. Trying to get a cannula in me is horrible, because my veins are just so fragile and they just collapse. So I've been sick since I was 13. I'm now 29, so 16 years. And I was initially diagnosed with ME. At the time, that was the the best diagnosis that fit all my symptoms. There's now some debate over whether or not the ME is the Ehlers-Danlos or whether it's kind of a bit of both. But either way, I'm diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and ME. Gastroparesis, POTS, and I also have endometriosis. It's a bit of a handful, trying to keep everything in line, as I'm sure you'll have seen from my A Day in the Life video. But yeah, that's just the general outline of life for me. So I also have, as you'll have seen in the video, a subcut cannula, which is the little blue thing in my thigh. That's a little needle that goes under the skin and leaves a little tube, a bit like what goes into your vein. But it goes into the subcutaneous tissue, which is the sort of the layer of skin underneath, well, over muscle. The muscle is underneath, so kind of like the fatty layer. And that is for medication to be put into. I do that 3 times a day, and change the cannula probably every 3 to 4 days. So that's the other one you'll have seen in the video, and again it's just medication to control my symptoms. I have a lot of problems with nausea, vomiting, pain, bloating, reflux, cramps, that kind of thing, so the medication is to help with those. I also still have the gastric tube, the tube that goes into my stomach, and I use that for draining stomach content, so that I'm not sick. It also means that I can drink bits, I can eat little bits of certain foods, and it just drains out and it stops me being sick. So that, I think, is all of the tubes. Obviously the central line, so the central line goes in through the skin and it's tunnelled under the skin up to your clavicle, which it then is put into your internal jugular vein, and that is fed through to superior vena cava, which is just the top of your heart. It just sits in the tip of it just sits in the top of your heart. So that one is, sometimes it's called a Hickman line, most people know it as a Hickman line. Mine is a Grosjean line, which is a different make of line, but it goes in the same way as a Hickman. It's just that mine, instead of having an external clamp, it has this little valve on the inside, so under positive pressure, it opens outwards, negative pressure it opens inwards, and then at like normal pressures it stays closed. So it means you can infuse through it or you can draw blood back, and it just, this little valve is in control basically. So that's all of my tubes and lines. In terms of personally, I live at home with my family. I live with my mum and my brother. We have 4 cats. We did have 5, but we sadly lost one at the weekend, so still a little bit raw. I mostly like to crochet, knit. I do a little bit of photography. Obviously started doing these videos for Han Week, so maybe that'll become something, I don't know. We'll see. I'm a wheelchair user because of the POTS, the EDS, the ME, all of that, so if you see bits of me out and about, I'll be in my wheelchair, most of the time anyway, so occasionally I'll walk, it just depends how I'm feeling. I used to be very active. When I was a kid I was a gymnast. Obviously that's fallen by the wayside, but I'm hoping once COVID lockdown and stuff is over and everything recovers that I can join the gym, get a bit of strength back, see how we go. And yeah, I think that's everything I can think of. It's been a bit of a rambly, boring video, I'm really sorry. I just thought it'd be nice for everyone to get to know a little bit about me, as they listen to what I have to say and the videos that I put up. So yeah, just nice to meet you all, and I'll see you soon.